Hi folks, could you imagine going to rent an apartment only to have the landlord tell you that you couldn't be a tenant because you attend church? No, that would be illegal, a violation of your First Amendment rights, as well as numerous other anti-discrimination codes. The same applies if you were denied a lease because you were a registered Democrat or Republican, or because you served in a branch of the armed forces. But did you know it is entirely possible and legal to lose the roof over your head and have a landlord put you on the street for exercising your Second Amendment rights? You heard me correctly. Possessing a firearm for protection could make you homeless, depending on your lease. Some citizens have found this out the hard way, warding off an intruder with a lawfully owned firearm only to have their leases terminated for daring to protect their families. It happened to one disabled man in Maine who protected himself with a handgun in his own apartment. As a result, he was threatened with eviction because of the property management company's policy against firearms. In Texas, a property management company in Houston is attempting to evict a mother who used a firearm in her apartment to protect her teenage son from an attack by gang members. You might think these examples to be outrageous, but they are true. This practice and other forms of discrimination against law-abiding gun owners would become illegal if legislation I recently introduced becomes law. In order to protect those who own or carry firearms to defend themselves, my legislation would amend the Pennsylvania Human Relations Act to protect those who exercise self-defense rights from discrimination in housing, employment, and public accommodation. Specifically protected would be the lawful ownership, use, possession, or transportation of a firearm, the lawful carrying of a firearm under the Uniform Firearms Act, the lawful storage of a firearm in a dwelling, residence, or personal vehicle, and the lawful transfer of a firearm. Finally, my bill would allow employers to reasonably regulate an employee's possession of a firearm during work hours or on the employer's property if the employer's policy does not interfere with the lawful carrying of a concealed firearm, the lawful storage of a firearm in a personal vehicle, or the employee's exercise of other firearm rights when he is not acting in his capacity as an employee. Right now, if your employer chooses to do so, you could be terminated from your job for having a lawfully owned firearm locked in the trunk of your car. Likewise, a restaurant or hotel could refuse you service upon finding out you were legally carrying a firearm. It happened to a Mississippi man, fired from his job for lawfully storing a firearm in his locked personal vehicle. This should not be the case. Second Amendment rights deserve the same protection as all of our other rights. The era of politicians and activists harassing law-abiding citizens and denying them their rights in housing and employment must come to an end. My legislation would do that in Pennsylvania. Let's end discrimination against citizens who exercise their constitutional right to self-defense. Until next time, God bless.